Ooh, recording in progress. So I had a really lousy day at work here on a beautiful, warm, sunny Easter Sunday. So I just got home in a rush and I mixed up a tall, fat, dark, and stormy. So this recording is going to be interesting. Also, Spencer almost joined me in the spirit realm. He almost died this week. Also, Colin recently has discovered he has a life. So we are without him.
This is also true.
It's going to be a good episode. Yeah, play the theme song.
Buy a comic that might cost more than a dime. Come meet the brothers who are here to waste your time.
So welcome back to the dimecomicbros podcast. We're just a couple of broke dudes trying to read as many things as humanly possible without spending a single penny, and we fail all the time because some of us have spending problems.
We read a lot, but we spend a lot of pennies too.
Yes.
That reminds me. What was it? I saw an Aquaman book today on sale. Amazon told me about it, but it only turned out to be like $5 off. So I was like, that's not a sale.
Fishman.
Yes.
So we got a little bit of news. Nothing too crazy this month.
It's a news week.
I'm dumb. Netflix released the first look at images of Lock and Key Season 3, which will officially be the end of the show.
I am here to announce it looks like more Lock and Key.
Yeah, it looks exactly like I was expecting it to. There's no radical stylistic change.
Nope. And there's no Easter eggs like, oh, they're going to use that key. It's just them standing there doing more Lock and Key stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that at least somebody would be holding a padlock, but no locks or keys in these pictures.
Well, the locks are in the photos.
Yeah, but no locks. no padlocks, no combo locks, no pick locks. Nothing.
DC and Spotify released.
It's my turn. I was trying to set you up for a great joke, and you didn't help me at all.
I was trying to find some way to make it kinky.
Of course you were. That's what you're here for.
This is true.
DC and Spotify released the first trailer and full synopsis for Batman Unburied, the upcoming audio drama podcast premiering May 3rd. That is from Nerdist.com.
It sounds really good. I'm quite impressed.
Shocked. Not really. That was sarcasm.
I like the weird direction they're taking. It's obviously a really high budget production, but the casting is really, really solid, and the amount of detail going into it is good. I haven't listened to a good audio drama in a long time, so.
Not audio drama, but I listen to a lot of audio books. So, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm glad it's a good production quality. I'm interested to see how long each episode is. Is it going to be like a 20-minute episode or like a 40-minute episode? I'm curious. I'm definitely interested.
I guess we'll find out in May.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks away. So,
yeah. From DCComics.com, Pariah, The Great Darkness, A World of Dreams, Hope. Following the tragic events of Justice League 75 by Joshua Williamson and Rafa Sandoval on sale April 26, Tom King from Human Target and Chris Burnham from Batman Incorporated are teaming up for the first time ever for a tribute to the Man of Steel in Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, Superman #1. Brandon Thomas, Chuck Brown, and Fico Ossio will also honor Aquaman's legacy in a backup story in the issue. Dark Crisis, Worlds Without a Justice League, Superman #1 will be available at comic book shops and digital retailers on July 12th. Quote, Superman is maybe my favorite character to write, and Chris is one of my favorite artists in comics whom I've been dying to work with for years, so this project is an absolute joy, end quote, said writer Tom King. Quote, it's an important and emotional story about what Clark missed when he missed John's teenage years, the pain and the glory of seeing your boy grow up, end quote. When Pariah and his forces of the Great Darkness laid waste to the most powerful superheroes of all time, all hope was lost, with the Man of Steel suffering the same fate of that of his comrades. Join us for a look at a world of dreams he would have never thought possible while alive. Where there's life, there's hope, and with that hope comes a deeper unraveling of the tapestry of DC Universe's biggest event of 2022. So just the basic premise of doing a Superman tribute is par for the course, but the more interesting thing that I like, or I find more standout, is it's focusing on the time that Clark did not get to spend with Jonathan when he was like out in space and he aged like 5 years or whatever. That's a really interesting thing that's never really been explored, because that was a decision that was made a while back. That's a large chunk of time that was just gone from his life. I think that's really interesting to look into.
So this starts out by saying it follows the tragic events in Justice League number 75. Can you fill me and the audience in on anything about what that may be?
All I know is the Justice League dies.
Perfect.
That's it. It's not out yet, so.
Oh, okay. It seems weird that they're based on the events that haven't happened yet. We're introducing a new series. That seems a little preemptive.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I have a hard enough time keeping up with things that have happened already and keeping up with the new series that reference that. So it's like, way to confuse the audience.
I think it's definitely a weird balance between, we need to announce things early enough to like drive hype, like video game teaser trailers,
right?
But also you need to make sure it's close enough to the thing it's coming from, so like it's relevant,
right? I also get really, really nervous when DC releases anything, absolutely anything, with the word crisis in the title or subtitle. It just makes me cringe inside, because that sounds overcomplicated and big and bombastic. And it's like, well, is it like one of those crises, or is it just like a crisis that isn't a crisis? Ugh. That's my feeling. Just ugh.
All of my life is a crisis, so it doesn't faze me.
Right. That's why you just dig DC Crises.
Yes.
We're going to call you Crises Man.
Why not?
From DCComics.com, this July... all right, this isn't the one you just read. This July, a new ongoing creative team is taking over the storied Detective Comics with writer Ram V, known for Catwoman and the many deaths of Layla Starr, and artist Raphael Albuquerque, known for American Vampire and Superman/Batman. Starting with Detective Comics number 1062. On sale July 26th, Batman finds himself in a strange, dark Gotham City as he's pulled into a high Gothic story pulled into a high Gothic story like nothing he's seen or heard before. The story starts with Gotham Nocturn, part 1 of 4, Overture. Something is terribly wrong with Batman. No matter the tests Bruce takes, nor the numbers he counts, the greatest detective in the world can't pin down the source of this creeping dread of his own inner demons and a looming mortality. He's not alone in the grips of this terror, as it seems real demons are creeping through the shadows of Gotham City, answering the clarion call of a strange melody that's haunting Gotham and seems to be turning its denizens into something else. Sounds like the opening to New 52 Justice League, but I digress. The curtains are rising on a new terrifying mystery as Batman tries to figure out what's happening to both the city he protects and his own mind in this lush operatic mystery. Writer Ram V said of joining Detective Comics, "It's a thrill to be writing a title with the kind of history and pedigree that Detective Comics has. When the opportunity first came across my desk, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. For me, the draw of Batman as a character and that of the world around him had always been this blanket of tragedy that lay above it all. So with that perspective, Gotham Nocturne is a quintessentially Batman story told with the aesthetics of a Gothic opera." Artist Raphael Albuquerque also shared his excitement about telling this story. Quote, "Batman is a legend we all grew up with, and most of us spent a lot of time imagining what we would do if we were in this position. That's how serious Batman is to me, and I have been lucky enough to do a little bit of it over my time as an artist. Ram V brings something special to the table, unique. Ram's story not only matches my vision of this beloved character, but also twists it, elevating it to another level, making me want to be part of the special new take that I think is going to be as special to the fans as it's been for me," end quote. Each issue of Detective Comics will also feature a backup story by writer C. Spurrier, or Cy Spurrier, known for John Constantine, Hellblazer, and Suicide Squad Blaze, exploring other stories of Gotham City, starting with Jim Gordon's return as a private investigator. Artist Danny, known for Arkham City Order of the World, joins C or Cy to tell this noir-tinged story as Gordon's investigation weaves into Batman's. That was a lot of reading and words and stuff.
Much excitement. An actual horror writer taking on Batman again. It's been a little while. Detective Comics has had a rotating cast of artists and writers for the past 5 or so years, and most of it seems to have been very good. So I'm glad that we're getting this. And also it's cool that we're getting Jim Gordon going back to Gotham after his weird adventures abroad. But it's Spooky Batman.
I didn't really listen to all the words that I read, but noir and Gothic opera being used to describe a Batman story sounds perfectly fine with me.
Yeah, no argument on that. It's
yes.
Yeah.
Also, Ram V has done a lot of stuff that we've already talked about and loved.
Yeah, he's blowing up.
Yes.
From
it's not nice to call him fat.
Oh my gosh. From Marvel.com, starting in July, Ms. Marvel will discover a new Marvel Universe spanning mystery, and she'll need to have some unexpected team-ups in order to defeat it. Wolverine, Moon Knight, and Venom will fight alongside Kamala Khan in a series of oversized one-shots by writer Jody Houser, kicking off with Ms. Marvel and Wolverine, where Houser will be joined by artist Che Carlos. These 3 issues will deliver an overarching epic that will see Ms. Marvel shine in battle next to Marvel's most iconic and toughest heroes. The adventures will also be a perfect jumping-on point for newcomers to the saga of Ms. Marvel, as it lays the groundwork for her exciting next era. When a mysterious threat lands in New York City, Ms. Marvel takes matters into her own embiggened hands. But with Krakoan security tech compromised, you can bet Wolverine and the X-Men won't be far behind. The best there is at what he does teams up with one of the Marvel Universe's most lauded heroes in an action-packed adventure for the ages. Quote, "I'm thrilled to be back playing in the Marvel superhero sandbox, especially with a character as vital as Ms. Marvel," end quote, Houser said. Quote, "Teaming her up with some of the darker heroes of the 616 shows just how bright her light really is," end quote. This is a cool concept. I was reading, I was like, ooh, Ms. Marvel. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to put her with the psychopaths. Like, oh shit. Cool.
It's an interesting team up for sure. Wolverine, Moon Knight, and Venom. I don't know if I've ever seen that as a team up before. And then to throw Miss Marvel, the younger, child Miss Marvel, it's a very interesting mix. And I really like that they're very clear. They're very upfront with saying this is a good jumping on point. So good stuff. I also, I kind of chuckled when I read this though, because it's definitely scheduled to line up with the release of the TV show, which is fine.
It's
right.
Marvel.
That's typical marketing strategy. It just made me chuckle. It kind of makes me wonder too if that's why at least Moon Knight is part of the team, because they're coming off his show going into Miss Marvel. So
that's possible.
Maybe. From GamesRadar.com, DC versus Vampires is back for more, and it looks like DC has a new blood-sucking franchise. DC versus Vampires, all-out war #1 is a new 6-issue, all-you-can-eat buffet of grindhouse mayhem limited series beginning in July that serves as a companion series to the main DC versus Vampires series, following the companion one-shots DC versus Vampires: Hunters in May and DC versus Vampires: Killers in June. All-out war is written by main series co-writer and the one-shots writer Matthew Rosenberg, along with Alex Packnadel, a writer with credits at Boom Studios, Arcadia, Marvel, Valiant Entertainment, Titan, and more, with art by Pascal Qualano. I'm so sorry if I did not say your name right. An Elseworlds type series, meaning not in continuity. DC versus Vampires began by pitting the Justice League against a secret vampire army that is preparing to conquer Earth, and just shocked readers by revealing the vampire army is led by its king. This sounds like a spoiler, Nightwing.
I have yet to read any of this.
I had no idea about any of this. I thought this was the start, but apparently it isn't.
No, we talked about this getting announced back, I think it must have been about a year ago now. I believe I don't know how far the main run is at the moment, but it's been out for a while.
So DC versus Vampires Hunters in May, DC versus Vampires Killers in June, and then DC versus Vampires All Out War in July.
Yes.
To simplify what I just read. So what comes before all that?
It's just DC versus Vampires.
Oh. And any idea when that came out to begin with? Because
I guess it started in October, but
I honestly had no idea about any of this. And I mean, describing it as an all-you-can-eat grindhouse just makes me very, very interested. I think I remember reading about that announcement, but I was a little pooped because I had just finished like 3 deceased books in a row, and I was like, so we're going from zombies to vampires? I mean, come on. But now that I've had a break from deceased, I'm very interested.
The first issue was published in October of 2021. It's about 6 issues in. It's going to be a 12-issue series.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I remember that day. That was one of that day that we talked about this was one of the episodes that we had to like re-record, and I was sneezing the whole time. And it was that episode where we were just kind of all losing our minds.
I mean, that sounds like any episode, to be honest.
This is true.
Will you wait until this gets collected?
Yeah, I haven't even read the main run yet.
Right. I mean, if it was just a 12-issue run, I probably would have gotten that as issues because I'm really, really interested right now. But with it being 3 spin-off series after that, I'll wait until it's all put in one book.
Yeah. An exclusive from Variety.com. It's been less than...
You get the long one.
It's been less than a week since Discovery closed its $43 billion deal with Warner Media, joining one of the largest producers of reality programming with one of the most venerable entertainment brands under the new moniker of Warner Bros. Discovery. David Zaslav, the CEO of the combined companies, and top leadership have been toying with the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical, the sources say. The move would potentially affect DC feature film development in the Warner Bros. Picture Group, streaming series at Warner Bros. Television, and the creative arm within DC proper, all in an effort to have the disparate elements more closely aligned in order to maximize the value of the superhero stable, one often seen as punching up against Marvel. Before the merger closed, Zaslav vetted candidates with experience in creating and nurturing blockbuster intellectual property with a goal of potentially finding someone to serve as a creative and strategic czar, similar to what Marvel has in Kevin Feige. One of those candidates included Emma Watts, a former top film executive at 20th Century Studios and Paramount, but it does not appear that Watts will take the job. One insider suggests that Zaslav was less interested in finding a creative guru and more eager to hire someone who has the type of business background needed to keep all the different factions at DC working more harmoniously. Insiders say that Zaslav believes that the success of the merger, one that has left the company highly leveraged, will rest in no small part on unlocking the full potential of the DC Comics universe of characters. Discovery insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success with recent films such as Aquaman and The Batman, it lacks a coherent creative and brand strategy. Discovery believes that several top-shelf characters such as Superman have been left to languish and need to be revitalized. They also believe that projects like Todd Phillips' Joker are a shining example how second-build characters from the DC library can and should be exploited. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is another example. So, on the one hand, this is a potentially good shakeup because it means that the trees are getting rustled for all the shitheads at Warner Bros. Pictures and DC in general to get their shit together and stop being about everything. But also, yay, more managerial changes at DC. Please kill me. I'm glad that they are directly stating that they need to use Superman, which is correct. But
you just want your boy, Henry Cavill, you simp. Bonk,
of course
bonk, 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 bonk.
Yes. Duh. He's still on contract. Like, he's there. They just haven't used him because they don't know what the hell to do. Because apparently people don't know how to modernize Superman because Superman needs modernizing or whatever.
Also, with him comes Amy Adams' Lois Lane. So you get a double bump. You get a Darth Maul dual-sided wiffle ball bat. Bonk. Bonk, 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 bonk.
It's nice to hear them mentioning that movies that have strong specific creative directions like Batman and Joker and Aquaman are something that they're looking at, which is good. Those all made fuck tons of money. So that's good. I'm a little concerned in terms of how much it's going to affect DC publishing, which I think was something we talked about when the HBO merger thingy happened. We talked about that then too, but there's positives here, there's negatives here. I just want to see the results. If there's going to be anything, maybe don't have a Kevin Feige. Or do, and just have them focus on the business aspect. That does make more sense. You don't need someone to creatively guide everyone. They have a very good house of people to make movies. They just need to have people to make sure that there's like brand synthesis between the different the different branches of DC in the books and the movies and whatever. And that is probably good.
So you and Colin and a couple of other people give me a bit of a hard time. And we all love the joke that I love watching sport ball, which I'm still a little bit confused if that includes hockey or not, because, I mean, there's no ball, but it's technically sport. But anyway, my analogy goes like this. I don't pay attention to sport ball teams in the off season when they're hiring new management or firing their old management and everybody's like, oh my gosh, who are they going to hire to replace the coach or whatever? Or people spending way too many millions and billions of dollars to pick up one player for 3 years, depending on how sporty they play sport ball. I don't pay any attention to that. It just doesn't interest me. It's important for sure because it decides if the team is going to win next year or not, but I just don't care. It's not what tickles my fancy. I just like watching people play sport ball. It's the same thing here. It's very important that management is getting shaken up and things are going to happen and new movies are going to come out because of decisions these new people make, but I don't care. Sorry.
Fair enough. So that, jeez.
That concludes the news and Spencer's life.
So we got the third episode of Moon Knight this week. Jacob did not watch it, so...
I am going to take my headphones off to avoid all spoilers. So text me when you're done.
Nice. Okay, he's gone. He's gone, boys. All right. So this episode, we got to see Mark, continuing on from the end of last episode in Egypt, looking for the tomb of. I don't even fucking remember the Medjai's name, but he is now looking for a tomb from someone who would know how to get to the tomb of Amet. So, yeah, it's a little bit of Indiana Jonesing, which I was quite into. There's a fight sequence on a rooftop, and I thought was pretty fun. I thought that the knives were extremely shiny, and at first I was gonna bitch about it because as someone who was gonna get into doing props and like set design and stuff, the knives are so obviously too shiny, they're not realistic at all, and I hate it. But then I realized that they were using them for like a visual element to have a reflection for Mark to look at Steven through, and I was like, never mind, I like this. It's a little silly. The fight's a little goofy, but it's nice to see what Mark fights like, as well as getting more, just general blood and violence. We get confirmation, ? That there's a third personality inside Mark/Steven's head, who seems to be a fucking psychopath, with judging by the amount of violence that happens, with even with Steven accusing Mark of doing God knows what, and even Mark's like, yo, this wasn't me, that's crazy. So I'm fairly confident that Jake Lockley is finally coming in. In the comics, at least in some of the runs, he's typically the more wild of them all. He is not afraid to kill whatsoever. He's very brutal. Mark typically isn't afraid to do so at all. He just typically chooses not to. But Jake is like kind of crazy sometimes. I mean, they're all crazy, literally. So I think that's what we're getting pretty soon. I'm wondering if they're gonna keep with like the New York like cabbie type deal. If they're gonna give him another funny accent or whatever, that'll be fun to see. We got the meeting of all of the Ennead's avatars, which was really cool. It was nice that there was, on the one hand, follow-up from the first episode where there was that little kid who was talking shit about like the Pyramid of Giza just not having anything in it, and then, oh, would you look at that, it's actually a big like clubhouse. That was pretty cool. That was a nice sequence. Watching Oscar Isaac just scream at people was very funny. That was a cool sequence. I liked there was a mention of the Overvoid, as well as other gods being locked up. So it seems like these the Ennead, the Egyptian gods, are gonna be some form of alien extra-dimensional being. They're not really gods, but they're kind of gods. I think we're getting, I think I mentioned this previously, but I think they're gonna basically be kind of like the Asgardian gods, where they're basically just aliens, but it depends on how they're being presented. They can look all spooky and godlike and whatever if we're viewing them through the eyes of like their avatars and whatnot. But if you just look at them normally, it's like it's a dude with a bird head, it's kind of silly. But the power levels are quite crazy. I'm kind of curious if Khonshu literally rewound the whole planet, that would be really weird. Or more likely, he was basically making an image on the sky. He was just kind of like rotating it like an iPad, which was pretty funny. The fact that Steven got actual like plot relevant stuff was nice. They're actually making sure that the different personalities are relevant to the stories, as well as just being like interesting to talk to or whatever. There are multiple occasions where Mark needs Steven's help, and because of their personality clashes, it's very difficult. That was nice. Layla can step on me. I will not elaborate further. I don't know why on earth Mark would get a divorce.
Reason number 2. Look what I can do.
But what does that have to do with anything?
No. He's got a point.
The fight sequence at the end was pretty solid. It was nice watching Steven and Mark both fight. The choreography was pretty solid. The stunt work was pretty good. Very stabby, you know. I don't know. It was good. I'm just really liking where this is going. And then my big standout for all of this isn't anything character related, comic-y reference. It's the fact that Cairo doesn't look like fucking Mexico, or like how every American filmmaker looks at Mexico. The fact that that a lot of the cast and crew are people from various Middle Eastern countries, as well as that they're shooting on location a lot, is phenomenal. It looks gorgeous. And I very rarely say that about a Marvel product, period. Most of their stuff looks like shit. Cairo looks like a city. It looks like an actual city. It looks like Cairo. It doesn't, there are lower quality districts. There are some nice locations. There are lights at night. It just looks vibrant. It isn't, some, hey, look, it's a desert because it's the Middle East, like some borderline like racist stereotyping. It's really good. It looks awesome. And that genuinely made the whole episode way more enjoyable. I'm very much so looking forward to next week.
That it?
Yes.
Wow. That was quick.
Well, when I don't have to interrupt somebody screeching over me, it kind of helps.
I thought about it, but I was like, no, let him have this one.
Jacob.
That means I should probably review one of my talking points.
Yes.
Well, shit.
Yeah, what the fuck have you been doing?
I read Injustice, Gods Among Us.
Ooh.
Year 3. It was released from September of 2014 to April 2015. It is, of course, written by Tom Taylor and Brian Buccellato. Brian Gelato. Anyway, after the events of Year 2, which I only partially remember, something about the Green Lanterns and all the other Lanterns fight over the Injustice Civil War, and Superman becomes a Yellow Lantern. And they kill Oa. Besides all that, Year 3 is basically... All right, so Year 2 was like basically Injustice, but with all the Lanterns, right? Year 3 is basically Injustice, but with all the magic guys. So it's basically like Justice League Dark. And I don't know too much about that. I've got the books waiting on deck. That's one of the upcoming topics from me. But you got your Constantine and your Zatanna and your Dr. Fate and your Spectre and Stranger and Swamp Thing for an unknown reason. He doesn't seem all that magical. I feel like I'm missing a very big magical name too, but it's got all the magic guys. So basically Injustice, but magic. So in that regard, it felt a little... Injustice is starting to feel a little heavy in the theme because it doesn't cover what if everybody at the same time. It feels like Injustice, but with Green Lanterns, or Injustice, but Justice League Dark. So I don't know. It's nice to see it play out, but it feels like, where's everybody else though? I've really enjoyed reading Injustice. I got the first 3 years in the omnibus for $75, I think. It's usually at least 100. It's absolutely worth it. Tom Taylor is a king. The art, the first year, the art is a little bit choppy, but after that, they figure out what their look is and they go with it, and it's consistent from about halfway through year one all the way through. Very, very, very good. Very enjoyable. It reads so fast. It's 12 issues. Yeah, 12 issues per year at least, and it goes very quick. It's so enjoyable that it's hard to stop and smell the roses and enjoy what's on the page. I just want to burn through it because it's so good. I've heard rumors that year 4 and 5 drop off in quality, and that's collected in Omnibus number 2. And I'm a little concerned. I don't know. I haven't really pulled the trigger on that one yet. But that would be very unfortunate because I've really enjoyed my stay with Injustice years 1 through 3. My biggest complaint, really, is that at the end of year 3, at least in this omnibus, there were 2 epilogues back to back. One of them was... No, I think both of them were supposed to go at the end of year 2. So one of them definitely filled in a huge plot hole that gets referred to from like the first page of year 3. And I was like, oh, okay, they'll just fill this in later. Yeah, they did, in an epilogue that I should have read at the end of year 2, not the end of year 3. So that was a big oof, massive cringe. The other one was pretty forgettable. So besides that, fantastic stuff. I did not expect anything like this from a comic based on a video game. That was passable.
Well, that's good. I have a lot to pick from.
So, Spencer, out of all the things that you've read, the long laundry list that just grows and never diminishes, what have you done? Eventually, you're going to just have to delete stuff because it's been so long since you read or watched it. You're going to be like, I don't even remember. I got to watch it again.
So speaking of Tom Taylor and the quality of his writing never dipping, that's not true. I read Batman the Detective, which was originally going to be Batman the Dark Knight. It just got retitled. This was a 6-issue miniseries published last year. Written by Tom Taylor and penciled by Andy Kubert. Do
you think that poor man got so much crap in high school or college, depending on his age, for being named Kubert?
See, I think it might be pronounced a little differently, but the K is close enough to a Q that if you slur it, it just doesn't sound quite right. I don't know. But,
I mean, I've never played Kubert, but I know it's a well-loved video game.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe he got, a lot of positive attention.
Who knows? Maybe people wanted to play with his joystick. So this is probably an alternate timeline, maybe. Batman is old. He's like a walking refrigerator. He's a big, chunky, scarred, stiff boy. It's basically the Dark Knight Returns. It's a globe-trotting adventure. There is a villain who put all of the people Batman has ever saved on a plane, and then they blew the plane up. Literally. It's a very bizarre character. The villain is basically, due to weird background stuff that's only set up in this book, I don't even want to get into because it was so forgettable. This character wants to be in equilibrium to Batman. She dresses in a white bat suit, as do all of her goons, and they kill people that Batman has saved because they don't want him having an impact. It's really bizarre. The timeline doesn't totally track. If this is going to be in primary continuity, it doesn't really make sense. It's weird in general, so it makes me think it's an out of continuity story, but it's vaguely close to the state that Batman's in right now. Alfred's gone, all the kids are out of the house type. I don't know. I'm assuming it's out of continuity. He follows up with a character called Squire, from the UK over across the pond. Is basically a knight and their squire. Like, it's Batman and Robin, but English. It's really weird. So he teams up with this new squire who is basically his Robin for this story. It's very bizarre. The villains barely make any coherent sense. And even if they did, it's still really stupid, frankly. There are some moments which I thought were kind of cool. Like, Batman punches a ghost. He just pulls on a glove that he won from Constantine or something and just socks a ghost in the face. That was pretty cool. There is a mobile Batcave tank thing that's always being driven around the UK, I guess, because he really is a billionaire. It's a tank. It's not. It literally looks like, what if Batman had a train car, and then they put it on the roads? So it's just this constant moving mass of iron. It's very bizarre. Makes no sense, but it is kind of cool to have this. It's Batman, but a train car. I don't know. Kubert's art is almost always really good. Even if the designs aren't things I like, which a lot of them aren't, a lot of just the general work is very good. I like the type of grit he has. I believe I've described him like this before. It's as if Frank Miller was good. It has a similar feel to it. He's worked on, I believe it was just Dark Knight 3 Master Race, but still, I liked the vibe that this book was going for, but it was kind of crap. I'm thinking that maybe they were like, "Hey, Tom, go write a Batman book because, you're getting big and popular and famous now. So we're going to give you a big title." And then he probably was working on 80 other books at the time and didn't want to say no, but definitely couldn't invest in it that much. This had a lot of hype when it started. It had some really cool variant covers, and then it just kind of died off. It got collected about a month ago, and it's just, I don't know. It seems like it wasn't phoning it in, but it definitely seems like this was rushed to hell.
So it's just that the characters don't make sense? Or...
The writing is mostly incoherent, and the characters don't make a lot of sense. There are some cool ideas. There's a handful of good moments, but moments do not a story make. I bought it for $25 at Jetpack. I'd say if you can get this on half off, it's worth a peruse for some of the art. The general design of Batman with a trench coat and goggles is hot, and I need more of it, but some of the other stuff is just kind of weird. I don't know. I'm disappointed for sure.
Interesting.
What other shenanigans have you been up to?
I finally finished Daredevil Omnibus 2 by Brian Michael Bendis. So here we go. This is going to be a lot. Omnibus number 1, you had White Panther put on trial, right? White Panther? Oh my gosh. Am I tripping right now? Yeah. All right. I was like, it's definitely not Black Panther, but it's a different kind of cat. No. White Panther is put on trial shortly after Daredevil is put on trial. He was outed in the tabloids as being Matt Murdock, and he goes to court and denies it all. So after that finally blows over, Matt Murdock's first case is White Panther, because he gets caught red-handed in the midst of a robbery and murder. That was a pretty big issue in the first omnibus. I'm kind of skimming right now because I want to talk about Omnibus 2. Kingpin comes back from getting erased, and he's trying to take his kingdom back, and then the omnibus actually ends with Daredevil beating the crap out of him and saying to all of Kingpin's, higher ups that Daredevil is the Kingpin now, that they answer to him, that he gives them a public announcement or PSA of change your life, stop doing bad stuff, do good stuff, or I'm gonna come after you. He's had enough. He's sick of it. You also have Daredevil getting married to a blind lady who seems super cool. I really liked her. And then the last issue of the book, she wants a divorce, and Daredevil's like, wait, what? And that's how the book ended. So the Omnibus 2 picks up with the divorce, and they deal with that. You have Black Widow in the first 4 issues, I believe, and she complicates the divorce because the wife is like, oh, so you got this other chick too? And Daredevil's like, no, she's an ex. I don't care about her anymore. And then Daredevil shows White Panther's granddaughter, I think, granddaughter, what to do with the amulets, because he doesn't have them anymore for reasons explained in the book. She's the FBI agent that's tracking down Daredevil and trying to pin Matt Murdock for being Daredevil. You have Elektra bounce in a couple of times. The last couple issues of the actual run, Kingpin makes a deal with the FBI agents to out Matt Murdock as Daredevil, and it's a whole complicated thing, but it ends with Daredevil going to prison. He's done running away from it, and he just confesses and is like, yeah, I'm Daredevil. And that's how this book sort of ends. There's a couple of extras thrown in at the end. It actually surprised me because this run goes right into when Ed Brubaker took over the run. And there's an afterword by Brian Michael Bendis saying that he had this plan to put Daredevil in prison at the end of his run. He's like, this is the logical conclusion to my story, but I don't want to leave that for the next guy because that's a rough start, dude. And he actually talked with Ed Brubaker, and he was like, yeah, I'll take that. That's a good setup for what I want to do with him. So I'm super curious about where this story goes. It's not just over when Brian Michael Bendis is done with it. So that's really interesting. The omnibus is actually releasing soon. I was very excited to see that. It may or may not be at the top of my Amazon wish list. It was nice. I 100% by accident read this the right way. And right now, everybody's saying, you're an idiot. Of course, you read Omnibus 1 before Omnibus 2. But no, you're wrong. I read Omnibus 1, and then I read Jessica Jones by Brian Michael Bendis, and then I read Daredevil Omnibus 2. And that worked out very, very well, because there's a couple of times before, in the first omnibus and in the second omnibus, that refer to what happens in Jessica Jones, and it lined up very well in the timeline. Not perfectly, but if you want perfectly, you'd have to find some chronological list written by some nerd on the internet. But as good as I could get it and be happy with the results, I understood everything that was going on. It was fantastic. Jessica Jones was Daredevil's bodyguard. And then the end of Jessica Jones's omnibus or storyline or whatever, she has an intimate conversation with Luke Cage, and they're together. They're a thing. And then that's shown in Omnibus 2 of Daredevil. Matt Murdock goes to Luke Cage's house, and Jessica's there. And everybody's like, hey, Jess, how's it going? Oh, you're preggo. Okay, cool. Luke, I need this. This is like the first time that something is lined up by accident, and I'm excited. Let me have my moment. As always, the writing is good. The story, yet again, went really quick. I know I started this review out by saying finally, but this book was hanging out in my work locker, and work has been kind of crazy lately, so I haven't been able to read, do my second job at my first job. I know, really big deal. This first world problems, am I right? But I finally finished it. I really enjoyed it. I got both omnibuses, buy one, get one half off. So I think they're both $100. So I spent $75 for each. Worth it, honestly. The first one's a bit bigger than the second one, and I was a little concerned about that. But yet again, $75 for a large amount of comics, really good comics that you don't want to end. Fantastic. It's been a good week to follow up last week's shitty week. This run came out in 2005, I believe? 2006? Somewhere around there.
Very small.
You were a small boy.
So...
Are we doing another one? Because we both have long lists.
Well, I only did one. You just did two.
Oh, that's right. What else have you done this week? We're just going to put all your topics on, the Wheel of Life wheel so that you can just freaking spin it. And you get penalized if you unhinge the wheel. You then have to do two topics or something. I don't know.
So that's more torture for you guys than it is for me.
That's true. We'll have to work on an actual penalty, but I want to see you spinning the Wheel of Life.
So I finally, after a very long time of putting it aside and forgetting it existed, finally read the Hellstorm by Warren Ellis omnibus. It includes issues 12 through 21 of Hellstorm Prince of Lies, as well as Druid issues 1 through 4. So this includes issues published from 1994 up until 1995. So this follows up the first 11 issues are collected in a trade paperback, which I talked about a while back. There's this omnibus, and then there is the classic run from, I think, the early 80s, maybe? I don't remember. It's about Damon Hellstrom, or Hellstorm, which I figured out why he changed his name, Jacob. That thing that bothered you when you read it. He did it because it was fun. That was it. He just said he wanted to change it because he wanted to fuck with people.
Just for the lulls. But does it swap back and forth after he says that?
No,
really?
The book title is Hellstorm, but he is still Damon Hellstrom. He just, sometimes he says, I am Hellstorm. It's different. It's dumb.
Fascinating.
So it's written by Warren Ellis and has pencils by Leonardo Manco, except one issue, which I think was like 18. So basically, Damon Hellstrom is the son of Satan, but not Satan, but a demon, but a big demon, but not literally Satan, but maybe Satan. Marvel's like mythological hierarchy is weird and mostly incoherent. So he was the son of one of the biggest demons, named Marduk, whatever the fuck, who they reference as Satan. Basically, it seems like after the fall happened, which canonically was a thing, like the fall, and Paradise Lost canonically happened and whatever. There have been multiple demons that have taken up the name of Satan. It's weird. But whatever. He's half demon, half human. He's a douche. He is a hard drinking, chain smoking, sex on a pile and needles type of guy. He's very unlikable, but has just enough charm that I keep reading. Good sense of humor, I think. And this just goes over multiple different adventures over a couple of issues apiece. Him teaming up with his new love interest because his current wife, Patsy Walker, is insane and trapped in her bed. So he's like, well, she's not getting any younger. She's not getting any more sane. So he starts banging people, as you do.
Gotta get his rocks off somehow.
Exactly. His new mistress is like, that's kind of weird, but I don't really care because I'm a Satanist. Who cares?
Wait a minute. When did this suddenly become about Colin?
Bruh. So they just go on different adventures. There's one of them where a Satanist is trying to summon the armorer of Satan to take over Manhattan. It's very 90s over the top, grotesque, like witchcraft stuff, which sometimes can get under my skin, like Jacob, but for the most part, I did enjoy it. Just didn't read it late at night. Lots of gross stuff. Sometimes the panel layouts or just the art in general are incoherent, but I think it's all done very directly and purposefully.
For our listeners, he says that as he's backlit and like just a black blob on the screen.
I'm too lazy to turn my light on, okay? I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot more than you did. I get why it wasn't your cup of tea. The art sometimes wasn't my favorite. I liked the style. I liked the fact that it I think you described it as like some crazy dudes like charcoal sketchings on their prison cell wall or something. Yeah. Like it feels like that. And I do like that. I like the over the top magic and the weird demons that don't make any sense.
I feel bad for saying it wasn't my cup of tea because I really, really enjoyed that it was spook and it was a unique art style and the writing, was good. It was doing what it wanted to do. Its intentions didn't jive with me. It's like when you and I go to a metal show, there's those people that run around yelling, "Hell Satan, brother." It's like, you and I aren't going to be yelling, "Yeah, Hail Satan." And this comic line definitely is. It's not like straight up trying to invoke anything evil, but it's not really against it either. It's kind of approving of evil. And so that's just where it lost me.
I think it's a little more nebulous once you get into it. I think I started reading a lot of the included like letters from the creative team in the back of each issue, and that added a lot of context to what it was. And then I looked into Warren Ellis a little bit more in terms of his writing style. I haven't read a lot of his stuff. Also, big asterisk, he's a massive piece of shit groomer. But aside from that, he's an anti-theist, so I think it brings an interesting edge to it. I think sometimes it can be a bit yikesy for sure, but I mean, that's kind of the point of the book.
Right.
Like
and that's what I was going to say too, is like, it's typical 90s stuff. Like Doom, freaking people lost their minds over Doom because it was in hell and you were killing demons and there was metal and all that stuff. And that's great. I freaking love original Doom. But I think this one just goes a little too far in its cliche 90s metal, all dressed in black, Hail Satan stuff.
Yeah. The fact that it was cut short was really disappointing. Like with any not super popular book, it was cut off at issue 21. I think they said that they had plans up to like issue 25 or whatever. So
and the last issue definitely felt crammed with stuff like, well, we got canceled, so
yeah, literally the letter afterwards was like, yeah, so if that felt rushed, it's because it was. And then they got the same creative team got a short miniseries for another mythical character, druid, which I thought was the art was a bit cleaner, which I liked, but the material itself, the writing and the mythology was so dense, it actually hurt my head. Warren Ellis basically said that he started like basically Googling this stuff. Like he read a couple of books on like druid mythology and he just decided he had to write something about it. So you can feel the passion for it, which was pretty cool. It's a lot of interesting stuff, but it is just odd that Marvel was all, hey, so your book for this known character is not too popular. We're going to cancel it. Do you want to do another book in the same slot with a even less known character? That's really weird business-wise, but it's a new issue 1, so I guess whatever. I liked this book. I wish it was better, for sure. There was a lot of gripes with it, but I bought it off of you for, I think, $50. Cover price is like 75 or 100. I thought it was worth it. I like the fact that there's so little of this character. It makes for a very interesting image. There aren't a whole lot of different like interpretations of it. It's just a couple of writers. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was definitely worth the price for both of us just because, I mean, I enjoyed it more than I didn't enjoy it. It was nice to have spook and actually be spooked by it. But after having read it, I wasn't going to read it again. I wasn't going to go back to it. So I got my money's worth by selling it to you, and I was happy with that. And then you're happy with, the lower price than cover price. So all around good stuff. The true meaning to Dime Comic Bros.
True. That is all. So next week we are going to be discussing Headlopper and the Quest for Bulgrid's Stare, which is the 4th collected edition. We will be joined by Colin. I will drag him here myself. And
whether he's dressed or not.
True. Would not be the first time we've recorded without clothes on.
That is absolutely true. It won't be the last either.
True. A big thank you to our patron over at patreon.com/dimecomicbros, Jeff Lawrence.
Patron saint, you may say.
Yes. If you want to become a patron and help support us, it'd be greatly appreciated. There's a bunch of different tiers with lots of different rewards. You can get stickers, bookmarks. Every once in a while, there'll be some random exclusive stuff. We also drop exclusive clips and segments from our podcast when we decide to edit some things out. We also upload different segments, Dime Comic Bros Happy Hour, which is just us kind of shooting the shit after recording, as well as access to all of our episodes early. So if you want to do that, that'd be really heckin' cool. Also, a big thank you to our partners over at Jetpack Comics and Games in downtown Rochester, New Hampshire. They give us clout because we exist in proximity to them. They are very cool peoples. They help us get the ball rolling in a lot of stuff. They are also hosting Free Comic Book Day this year, which we will be in attendance for. That is going to be on May 7th. It's an all-day affair. We will be in the downtown Rochester, New Hampshire area. If you want to come by, chat us up, get some free swag, that'd be pretty heckin' cool. Fuck, my brain is so dead.
I just want to shout out our patron saint, our Saint Taint, because he sent us a private business deal, and we absolutely plan to take you up on that offer, and we look forward to it. It made my day when I found that. I was like, guys, and Spencer and Colin collectively lost their mind too. So wicked cool stuff.
I love sneaky business deals.
Yes, especially in our back alley.
Yeah.
Especially like on it when it happens in Spawn's alley, because he's so protective of his alley. Honestly, I just feel lucky to escape alive.
Yeah, just being there would get us murdered.
I mean, I don't mind hanging out there every once in a while just to try to catch a glimpse of Angela.
Bonk. Bonk, bonk.
Couldn't go one episode without getting bonked. I had to give you something.
Mm-hmm. In reality, he's waiting for the Violator to show up.
Dude, the Violator is so cool, especially in his clown form.
Sure.
We're terrible people.
Oh, yes, we are.
It's been a dry episode. We had to get some humor in somehow. You can find us on all podcast platforms except for Pandora, because that's dumb. So if you don't like your current platform, try a new one. And also, if that new one has a comment section, maybe leave us a comment, leave us a like, maybe share it with your friends or enemies or anybody, because we need more listens, and that's how podcasting works.
Or you could share it with your mom.
I would not suggest sharing it with your mom.
I'd love to have some people's moms on this show.
Wait, go back. You want MILFs on this show. Is that what you just told me?
Maybe.
Yes, that is. We also have social medias. Check us out on that. Again, like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, click the freaking unblock, because you blocked us 2 months ago and then realized that you kind of like this. All of the stuff. Just click everything.
Yes.
Give us all of the clicks. Spencer and I are about to pour a drink because it's like 7:30 on a Sunday night, and we're going to record Happy Hour, which is a Patron exclusive. I don't think we mentioned that.
You're a Patreon exclusive. I'm so brain dead.
I mean, if you want to fire me, I can record Happy Hour by myself. That'll just be my part of the show, and you and Colin do the regular part of the show.
Oh, gosh.
Happy Hour with Jacob, and then Dime Comic Bros with Spencer and Colin. We can make this work.
I already have to listen to your drunken rambles often enough.
You were the one that recorded Happy Hour all by yourself last week, and I'm pretty sure you were kind of tipsy.
No, I was sober for that. I turned the mic on like 5 minutes after we stopped recording.
That doesn't mean anything. It was 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and he was like, all right, that's good whiskey. I'm going to record Happy Hour now that Jacob's gone.
Pretty much. Where's the wiki?
Welcome to my living hell. Eventually, you're going to say, F it, I can't find the wiki. Goodreads.
Goodreads usually has the stuff I need, but sometimes it doesn't. And that drives me crazy.
But if there's no wiki,
Yeah.
Goodreads.